Hi, I'm LaKeshia,
Hey, I'm Natalie.
and this is Life Cracks Us Up.
Hey, everybody. So, before we get into today's topic, which is a good one, I think it's going to be very controversial. I just need to let you all know that LaKeshia made it through my colonoscopy yesterday.
Oh no, she didn't.
She made it, y'all. She made it. She lasted from the very beginning all the way to the end. When I came to, she was already sitting right next to me with smiles and she was alert and no bumps, bruises. She didn't pass out.
You pass out at 2 doctor's appointments and people never let you live it down.
But the funny part about it was when we were doing the paperwork and they were asking me, I was in the back already. You were still up out there in the waiting area. But I was finishing up, remember all that stack of paperwork that nobody sent me ahead of time that I could have had done?
Yeah.
So when I was filling out the paperwork, some of the instructions, because I was going under anesthesia, was don't sign anything, contracts or anything financial. And I said to the nurse, I was like, ooh, I said, just when we were out in the waiting room, she was trying to get me to sign over some of my bank statements. So she's like cracking up. The nurse is cracking up. So when I came to, as I was coming to, I could hear the nurse telling LaKeshia, okay, don't let her sign any kind of contracts or anything financial. I'm still half groggy, and I'm like, she was trying to take all my money.
Because that's so funny, because I thought you were asleep, and as soon as she said something about the money, you just started talking.
I was legit like waiting on it. It was just perfect that it happened the way it did because I had made the joke before I went under. And then I was able to just kind of walk right back into it with the same person as I was coming to.
That's called a callback. That's called a callback. So yes, in the comedy world, but that was too funny because I thought you were knocked out. No. Talking about taking that chick money, she's like, "Oh, I'm here."
Yeah, no, I'm here. And mind you, I would have loved to have stayed knocked out for like 20 minutes longer. That is the best sleep. Like I didn't remember anything. That's why I asked you. I was like, "Is it done? Did they do it already?" And you were like, "Oh yeah, you're done. You're done." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's go eat."
Yeah.
Let's grab some fish.
Yeah, that was some good stuff though.
It was, right? It is. But do you know? This is so TMI, but I'm going to say it anyway. Asparagus and fish. When I pee, I smell I think everybody has the asparagus, but
not everybody, but
like
I didn't know.
Fish.
So we're not even going to get to our topic because, since you brought that up, not the fish, but asparagus.
Yes.
But I didn't know it. I hadn't had asparagus until late in life. So one night I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and I smelled that. I'm like, oh my God! Somebody
never gonna go down on me.
Somebody gave me something. Like I wanted to wake you up. Like, where you been?
Right.
I didn't know what that was. Like I never in my life.
Yeah.
But luckily Google. I Google it. Yeah, but I have a cousin who does that too. But my husband does it. So not everybody does that. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. Asparagus. And it wasn't until later in life because I love fish. I love just about all kinds of fish. But then one time after I ate it, I fried some whitings and I went to the bathroom and I was peeing and I was looking around like, who is that? Like, what is that? I was like, who was in the bathroom before me? And I was like, wait, this is my bathroom in my bedroom. Clear, it was just me. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
Because it's whitey.
Well, it was, so I kind of like ducked my head a little bit. Like, is that me? So I panicked because I was like, okay, is that my pee? Or is that my vagina? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
You think, something's wrong because that's
So then I'm like, okay. So I just finished up and I took a shower just in case it was the vagina. So of course, you drink water all throughout the day or, you just produce liquid or whatever. So I had to pee again and I could still smell it, but it was very faint. So I was like, okay, it's the pee. So then each time now, whenever I have fish, just like yesterday, and mind you, I didn't even finish that second piece. But when I went to the bathroom, when I went to pee, I could smell the fish again. And I was like, wow, this might be one of those times. I'm glad there is no significant odor. How the hell do you explain your vagina smelling like fish? Well, no, I ate some fish. Like I was eating the fish.
What happened was,
but yes, asparagus and also certain fruits. I can eat cantaloupe and pineapples.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so
now,
weird.
if you're gonna do the cantaloupe and a pineapple, that's when you want them to do things for you down there because it smells nice and fruity.
Nice and fruity. Oh,
yeah.
I got some
Fruity
pineapple
tooties.
downstairs. So as soon as we get done.
Yep. Pineapple it up. Hey. Okay.
All right.
So what we wanted to talk about today, I just wanted to congratulate LaKeshia on making it through the colonoscopy and thank her again for driving all the way from Newport News to Chesapeake to take me 6 minutes up the street from my house. Just wanted to throw that in there as well. They wouldn't let me Uber or Lyft.
Well, I was just gonna say that could be another job if they charge you by the. Well, no, that's a whole hour they would have to sit there.
And we just happened to be someplace that was quick because I went with one of my friend's moms one time. Mom went with one of my other friends' mom one time, and we were there for much longer than an hour. But she also had hers done in the hospital in the outpatient. So I like that little building, that little office. Yeah, and remember when we walked in, we were like, this is sketchy. It was like the only operating business that was in there. And I was like, yeah.
It didn't look like a medical facility.
It did not. And then when you went through that door, it was like all these, I was like, holy crap, this is nice. Yeah. This is nice. If anybody's going to go with my ass, thank you. This is nice.
Nice place to go with my ass.
Yeah, it was nice. Right. So yeah, what we're talking about today is just kind of breaking cycles. So I think that a lot of people are probably going to comment more on what I have to say because I'm done with the spoon feeding. So you want to start or you want me to just keep going?
No, you can go ahead. I'll jump in when it's time.
So when we're thinking about breaking cycles, are we on the same page when we're talking about generational cycles of be it drug abuse, alcohol, having babies, jail?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking about with this. It's like, all the things that we continuously do for unknown reasons, that people don't think about those. That makes you think, okay, there's this, I don't know, joke saying whatever about this lady who was cooking her roast. I don't know if you've heard about that, heard that one. And so she cuts the ends off the roast before she cooks them. So one day her husband asked, why do you do that? She was like, because my mom did that. So they asked Mom, Mom, why do you cut the ends off your roast? She was like, I don't know, because my mom did it.
Right.
So they asked her mom, why do you cut the ends off your roast? She's like, because my pan was too small.
Right. So all this time you've been wasted.
Right. Yeah. And you didn't know why. You just do what someone else has done. I mean, and that's, really simplistic view. But sometimes I think about that. It's like, why do we do some of the things that we do?
Right.
And I'm not saying it's an excuse for it, but until you think about it, then maybe you don't realize it's a problem or a situation that something can be done about. It's just, that's how it's always been.
Now I'm with you on, like, when you use the example of the roast, that I get like, I mean, I get all of it, but I'm saying like example wise. So yeah, everyone just kept cutting off the ends of the roast. No one knew why they were doing it until you had a discussion about it. But when I think of things like in and out of jail, and the recidivism of going in and out, the having babies at a young age, not finishing high school, just those are the kind of things that I'm trying to figure out how to break that generational curse. The mom had the baby young, so now the baby's having a baby at 17. Their baby grows up and has a baby at 16.
Exactly.
And I get you kind of do what you're used to seeing, but at what point does someone decide for themselves they don't want that kind of life?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a excuse, right? But yes, okay. So yes, my mom had her child young. I had my child young. But right, I have to acknowledge that, hey, this is something that happens. And if I don't address it head on, it's going to be something that continues. So yeah, I had to look within myself and say, hey, this doesn't seem like something that's very productive. But if I just go with the status quo and never think about it or question it, then it just happens. We're just going to keep doing the thing that I've seen it done. Nobody's telling me not to do it because they're still doing it.
Right.
So, you kind of get stuck in it in some ways. But I do agree 100% with you. Like at some point in time, you have to take responsibility for
Right.
it. But you just have to have your eyes open. So if you don't just wake up one day like, oh, I want to do it different, then maybe you can, your surroundings can help influence the change. So I mean, I don't have the perfect answer,
Right.
but
Nor
I
do
see
I.
that this is something that happens, and someone has to bring it to people's attention to say, hey, I know this is what you've been seeing. This is maybe what everybody around you is doing, but it's not the only way. It's not the best way. And I may be reaching, but
Reach,
like
girl, reach.
one of the things I think of is like men not being in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And I go all the way back to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's been so many years ago. But if it was ingrained in you that you don't stay, and it wasn't voluntary when it was done, the
Mm-hmm.
men were taken from the home, but so the women were in charge of the house, the
Mm-hmm.
men weren't there, and here you go with the ends of the roast cut off. It's like I don't see the families together,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see why families need to be together. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But until somebody pulls back and is like, this is not the best way we can do this, I think it works so much better
Mm-hmm.
if the family is a unit in the household. And a lot of people do that. I'm not saying everybody does it, but I'm saying some of these things that we see and we're just like, oh, people are just trash because they don't do these things. It's like it's ingrained.
And I'm with you to an extent because I hear what you're saying about the slavery point, right? About, the men not being in the household because they were taken away. So what's the excuse for the men who leave? Is that because of a generational curse that every man above? And I say that because growing up, my grandfather, my dad's father, was in the house, 100% in the house, but my dad wasn't.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that wasn't learned behavior. That was a decision that my dad made. He could have just as easily decided to be in the household. Now, that's not me taking away from, I mean, I love my dad. That's my dude. Like my dad is my dude. Like, but he'll be the first one to admit he just wasn't in the household growing up. So while I certainly agree that it tends to be a generational thing, my question goes back to at what point do we stop blaming it on a generational curse and just blame it and blame it on the person who just didn't make the right decision? So yeah, you
Like I
can.
said, I don't have the answers to all of them, but it
Yeah.
seems like it's and my thought of why it could be, like I said, the generational things, because it's not just one or two people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you're saying, they were taken versus leaving, but if you don't see the importance of being there, saying that yes, they were taken before, but in however they weren't there, they weren't there. So I guess maybe some people just don't feel is as important to be there because the family still survived, not necessarily thrived, but survived without them. And that's just one little thing, the men in the
Mm-hmm.
household.
I mean, the men in the household thing. This goes back to, remember I told you how my girls are all like, I can do it by myself. I don't need no man. That's a generational curse because they see, me, my mom, my sister, we've all done this without having the male in the house. But this same thing I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, that doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. So even though they've seen a couple of generations do it that way, my hope is that they won't, that they'll make a decision to not be the only parent in a household. So I do believe that this kind of stuff is generational and it's passed down, but I'm always going to fall back on, at what point does someone not say, I don't want to do it that way? I don't want to have a baby at 17, so I won't. I will get birth control or I just won't fuck. Like, at what point do you say, I just don't want to live that way? When you think about alcohol and drugs that's passed down, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? physically.
Hereditary.
Is it hereditary? Is that the word I'm looking for?
No, is it hereditary?
I think it's
Like
you're
right,
predisposed
to alcoholism or yeah.
Why can't I talk? Predisposed? Is
You've been
that
hanging
the
out
word
with me too long. You know I'm losing my
But
words.
yeah, but you may be predisposed, yeah, to drink or to do drugs because your parents did. But it's still up to you to not pick up the bottle. It's still up to you not to do the drug. Everything to me comes down to you making a decision. Now, if we're talking about the financial piece of it, that can be a little bit harder because if you grew up in the projects and the projects are all you know, and no one's giving you, a way out, that may be an issue. But I can still circle that back around and say, okay, granted, no one's giving you a way out, but have you looked for a way out? Do you see what I'm saying? So I do believe that all this stuff comes from, what you've seen or how you've grown up. I get it. But at what point do you take responsibility for your own actions? Talk to me, baby. Converse with me now.
So, what's on your mind? Does life crack you up like it cracks us up? We want to hear about it.
Are you picking up what we're putting down? Are you enjoying the content? Is there feedback you'd like to provide or topics you'd like to discuss? How about you give us a call and share your thoughts? 757-504-4649. That's 757-504-4649. We would love to hear from you. That's my question to anyone listening.
Right, and I know, and it's so crazy because I say that.
Blast me.
But no, I say that also because it frustrates me to see people continuously do the same thing. But I still go back to like, why? Where did it come from? Mm-hmm. But again, you have to have. Well, most people probably have to have someone to put some of that into them. I know there are a few people out there who are just self-starters. They have that initiative, like me. I didn't know how to get out of it. I just knew I didn't want to be in it.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of not good decisions that I made, but overall, I was like, this is trash, man. I don't think it has to be this way.
Right.
But that's not everybody because it's hard to go against the grain. It's hard to do something different than what everybody else around you is doing.
That's very true.
So I don't have answers. That's why I want to have this conversation because I like to process things and talking it out helps me to get through it because yes, it's not all just, okay, I can say because of slavery, I can sit back and it's okay, all these things that happen. But no, I acknowledge that it was a factor. Now I need to break it and help other people break it. Like even we talked about like colorism, definitely came from back then. For sure. It's like, like if you're lighter skinned, you're better somehow. It's like, you know what?
I didn't even say anything. All I know for sure is I was in the house.
Oh,
that's what I know definitively. I was in the house.
Well, I was on the porch. I was in, I was out. I was in, I was out.
You were visiting and then, yeah.
But I mean, and some people still to this day, and do they know why they treat people differently because of the shade? Or even kids, the darker skinned kids, like, I wish I was lighter. Why? Yeah. Where does this come from?
Yeah.
And so something like that, I think people don't think about it. Mm-hmm. It just like, in my mind, lighter is better.
Yeah. A lot of that, I think, obviously is going to be TV, what you see on television. There are dark-skinned actresses. There are. But if you think about the roles, the
maid, they're the maids or the bad people, the bad guy.
Right. All the good, the heroes and the I'm talking about for women primarily, the heroes, the women who are out there fighting and kicking ass. It's usually the light-skinned chicks.
Yeah, so that's because I read. I don't know if you, Viola Davis. Have you read the book? Or I listen to books. I don't really read, but Viola Davis's book.
I have not.
Yeah, oh, that was a good book. My gosh, I didn't know her like that. Chick. But she, first of all, she struggled. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What she went through, but also she said that she didn't think she would ever be successful because she was dark.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
and that's so unfortunate
I
because
know it hurt
look at
my
all
heart.
the talent
Yes,
in that woman
that would have been lost
had she just fell victim to I
Yes.
can't because I'm dark skinned.
Oh my goodness. When I
Mhm.
heard that, I was like, oh no, but I'm sure people out there feel that way.
Absolutely. And like you just said, when you hear the little kids, the little girls and the little boys, and I think it's primarily little girls
Mhm.
who want the straight hair and the
Mhm.
light skin, and they don't want to wear their hair natural, and
Mhm.
it's usually little girls, and it
Yeah,
sucks.
it does.
It sucks so bad, and it's hard to have that conversation. Case in point, now I will say this was a little white girl who was at my house recently. I told her the little girl asking who was on my phone, like, ma'am, if you don't get from over my shoulder asking me who's on my FaceTime. But besides the point, so the girls were talking, they were at the table eating and they were talking. And she was saying how at the end of the school year, she was like, I found out that 5 people like me. And mind you, she said some were girls and some were boys. These are fifth graders, but that's what they're
that is
well,
today. Yes.
a whole nother topic.
Yes.
But yeah, she's like, I don't even know why those people liked me. And I said, what do you mean? This is me chiming in now. She was all in my conversation, but I'm in theirs now. But I always keep an ear out when I
Of
hear
course,
kids
have to.
talking. So I said, why are you surprised that so many people like you? And she was like, I don't know. She was like, I don't really think that highly of myself. So I don't really understand what they saw in me.
Oh my.
And I said, okay. I said, Jay, I said, you want to step in and tell her how we run our household? I said, we don't talk like that here. I said, there are many, many things about you that would make someone like you. I said, and I just met you. So I know that. But I was shocked to hear a fifth grade. I don't remember talking like that in the fifth grade.
That's because you didn't have Instagram.
That's very true. Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff,
Living your best
and
Instagram
Google.
life.
But yeah, and YouTube. But yeah, it threw me to hear someone that young. But then I wondered, is that something in the house? Is that learned behavior? Was there someone telling you that? Like, I'm trying to figure out how a fifth grader has no self worth. I don't understand that.
Well, yeah, like I said, it could be in the house because, again, I understand you said little girl's Caucasian, but like in the black household,
Really
Caucasian from the mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, but like in African American black households, people come in a range of shades, even in the same family. And yeah, so sometimes that darker skinned child is going to get a, what am I trying to say? Some feeling about themselves if people in the house treat them different based on that. So yes, it could even be in your same household, and that is just horrible. You should see people as people, and that's another thing too. Is like I don't even understand the concept of racism because I cannot judge a group of people on a person or a couple of people. Like we were out to dinner the other day, and I picked up my phone for something, and my keys fell, and I knew they fell, but I was trying to get to something quickly on my phone. So this white gentleman across the way gets up from his seat at dinner, comes over to me, not only says you dropped your keys, bends over, picks up my keys, and hands them to me.
Right.
And I was like, but he's white. So right now we're going to take a break. And you can like, share, follow, and subscribe.
What you trying to say? A black dude would have just took the keys, ran out, found the car, and drove off?
You gonna get in trouble. I didn't say that.
Free car.
I didn't say that though, sir.
Those
But
are jokes.
So, just jokes. But see, one thing is like, how can people say that all of these people who look like this are horrible people?
Yeah.
And it's just like, because I always think like, if I was a person who didn't like white people and this happened, what would I think?
Right.
You know, how would this change me? And, you know, so that goes too about like how people can say, I worked with this older white lady at one point in time, and I'll give her grace. She was old as crap. And she was talking one time about this male guy that used to work there, mail carrier, whatever. And something happened. I don't know. And I guess she was comparing the two guys had done something somebody done something right, somebody. And she was like, and it was the black guy that did the, you know, like the good thing.
And she was so shocked.
Yes, I had to fix my face. I had to keep telling myself she's ancient. She's ancient. But I was like, she was really surprised that the black guy did the right thing.
Yes. You ever have a white person tell you speak so well?
Or you're the good one.
Yeah.
You're the
I had a white guy tell me that I was pretty for a black girl.
Oh wow. Well, what are you for a white? Like, how do you compare with the white chick?
I don't know, but it entertained me. It tickled me that even though obviously you have some type of feeling towards black people, your mind still
like you were okay.
Yeah, okay. like you still looked at me to say, oh, like you're cute.
If I would go that way, because no, I didn't. Nobody told me I was a good one, but I had somebody in one of my groups was talking about a friend that had a black woman had a white friend. She went to like a party for them or whatever, and it's something that came up, and the girl was the white girl. I guess felt she was defending her. It's like, no, she's a good one or something like that. One of the good ones. Woo! I don't know, but I don't know how I would have responded to that. It's like, oh,
I think in that moment, the other Natalie would have come out. The one that wasn't a good one. Because I mean, that right there, that tells me that even though you're standing next to me, you have a predisposed notion of black people.
Yes.
For you to say, oh no, she's a good one.
Yeah. Like,
so you're implying that the rest of them right.
Oh, so that's see, people need to be more open-minded. And I don't know, we're just jumping all over the place.
We are, but it's
but I think being in the military helped me with that.
I guess it had to.
Yeah, because you're exposed to all kinds of people.
Right.
And you can't just generalize. That's freaking impossible. I know great white people. I know horrible white people. I know great black people. I know horrible black people. I can actually tell the difference between a Vietnamese and a now can you say the word Filipino? Like, I was like, when people make those crazy generalizations, I was like, wow.
Yeah. It is amazing to see. But again, a lot of that is learned behavior. That's what they grew up thinking. That's what they were taught. And they just kept going with that. But at what point do they say, okay, not all people are that way?
Well, exposure. There was one, I don't know the boy's name, but I was watching, I think, the Trevor Noah thing. And somebody who was raised with David Dukes, is that his name? David Dukes? The boy was like, he was like, he was raised in, racism that, everybody besides white people are horrible. He went away to college. He said he got exposed to some stuff. He was like, oh my gosh. It was, he realized it was so wrong. But if he had never gotten out of that situation and got around smart black people, nice black people, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He could have just
and the thing about
his whole life like that.
But the thing about the whole David Duke, KKK and all of that stuff, they didn't differentiate between smart and nice black people or Jewish, whatever. They just hated everybody, regardless of your class, regardless of your.
Because I don't know how it works, but I assumed that they were telling stuff like, they're not smart or they're not capable, they're mean. So you're right. It could have been just like, but why?
Yeah.
Because they got too much, what's it called? Melanin?
Yeah.
Not melatonin. They sleepy all the time.
Girl, especially after some chicken.
You know what? You're gonna get me canceled. But I was sleepy yesterday.
I had chicken nuggets on my way over here.
After he ate all that food, I was like, oh, I'm going to sleep.
But you know what? And that's funny because the itis
is real.
It is real, but it's always associated with black people. White people get tired after they eat Thanksgiving dinner too.
They don't get the itis.
They do. That's my point.
They just get tired.
Theirs is tired. They don't get itis.
It's time to take a nap and then retire to the boudoir. Like, I'm just throwing out. I'm just throwing out white words. I'm throwing out white words.
I'm like, isn't that where they? But yes, white people get tired after they have tryptophan too.
Okay.
It is not a black thing. It is a human thing.
That is freaking hilarious.
It's something that's in the food. It's a chemical in chicken and turkey that makes you sleepy after you eat it. It doesn't matter if you're Asian, if you're black, Hispanic, white. It doesn't matter.
Let's do a test. Let's bring a whole bunch of people in here. Feed them some turkey. I I want to see this happen because I don't believe you. I don't believe you. It's just a black people thing.
Oh gosh, I can't with you today. I can't. I'm going home to try it out. I'm
serving up turkey to everybody.
I am. I'm gonna make some food and then just keep an eye out.
Thanksgiving. Next Thanksgiving, I'm inviting everybody over.
If anybody wants to come to Keisha's for Thanksgiving, please comment.
I need a white. I need an Asian. I need a Hispanic. I need to see what's about to happen.
First person who yawns. Point proven. It's everybody. And watching me the black person. I'm gonna be the first one.
Put you out.
Oh snap.
Oh wow.
That's not generational.
I'm learning something.
I don't get tired after chicken just because I saw my parents get tired after chicken. I just get tired after chicken.
Oh gosh.
We tend to go so far left sometimes.
Yes.
So far
my
left.
gosh.
But
all
right, let's jump back to subject. So what are your thoughts on now I just keep picturing people sitting at the table dozing off, hands down their pants like, oh, that was good.
Chicken.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. So back to the topic. So when I see jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they build jails just for black people, obviously, because black people are the majority of people in jail.
Yeah.
But recidivism, when you look at men and women come out of jail and just keep going back, is that because they saw their father or their grandfather, or is it because they did it, or is it just because they've made choices that landed them in jail? Like where are you at with that?
A little of both.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if you see people doing this and you think this is the only way you can do it,
mm-hmm.
or you didn't get the tools
mm-hmm.
to be able to do something else.
High school.
Yeah, because I think prison is horrible. First of all, we know it's a money-making venture. So like with medications, it's not in the cure. They're not trying to fix people. But
there's no treatment in there. There's no rehabilitation.
That's what you should be doing, is rehabilitating people, giving them a skill so they don't think they have to come out and hit an old lady upside the head because they don't know how to do anything else. And I know that's not everybody.
No, it's definitely not.
But yeah, but I think you should be grooming them to be put back into civilization instead of just keeping them caged. Like everything doesn't need an eternal cage.
Exactly.
Like I think of these people, like nowadays, how weed is everywhere. And these people are locked away forever.
Yeah,
for some weed.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what? Okay, so you open the gates now. Like, but what? What can they do now?
You know, the other side of recidivism is coming out of jail and always having that stigma. When you fill out an application, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor?
Yeah.
Does having been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor make you a bad person for the rest of your life?
It should not be, because
you can't get certain jobs. You can't vote with a felony. Like, why take away the humanism?
Yeah.
Humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, I am really struggling today. Thank you for being here.
We need an English teacher on our next one, because we just. But
why take away the basic humanity of a person because they serve time? And like you said, for something as stupid as weed, now they have to check that box every time for something that's legal now.
Right.
But you still have to check that box, which in some cases automatically takes you out of the running.
But but my thing too is, if you served your time, then why are we still talking about this?
Right.
Can we leave the past in the past?
Exactly.
But I could understand. Well, I would say, like, I don't know, murder.
But that murder, rape, stuff like that, I'm talking about, those are crimes against humanity.
Right,
those are
something really drastic.
Yeah. I'm talking about, I'll even go as far as selling drugs other than weed. If you're caught and you are tried and convicted and you serve your 15 years, Why do you still have to come out and be labeled a drug dealer?
Yeah.
I've served my time. I did what you asked me to do in there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get in trouble. I wasn't doing a bunch of craziness in there.
Right.
I'm out now.
I earned the right to be out.
Right.
So now I should be a human again.
Right. And be allowed to make a living, be allowed to rent an apartment, own a car, own a house, whatever the case may be. I should be able to start my own business without having to jump through fiery hoops to get my record expunged or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to be able to live like a normal person. Now, when you talk about murder and rape and crimes against kids,
yeah,
I don't care if the tree falls on you at that point. I mean,
well, I think my thought is people do horrendous things. They should just burst into flames. Like we don't even,
right.
Just
You know what we
spontaneous
should
combustion.
do? We should do like other countries do.
Fire squad.
No. Or why do you keep trying to kill people?
No,
I'm just trying to prove a point. You steal something,
get your hand cut off
with your hand.
But I used to think,
cut it off.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were misusing it anyway. You
Right.
weren't using it right. But no, I used to say with the like in the military where they train you to fire, it's so not realistic because you have to like get out there and shoot at a paper target so far out or whatever. I figure you put the people on death row out there, let them run back and forth. If I miss, then you get to live. What? That's realistic training.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Oh my god.
I'm entitled to my own opinion, but that's
I
just what I
mean,
thought. As I was out there training and shooting a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to go out there when I'm out there. You probably will survive. You probably will.
God.
But that's another story. Go ahead. As you saying.
No, I was
cut the hands off.
Now I have a visual of people out there with firearms and just what is it? Skeet shooting, but it's
when they throw it up.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just speaking on whether or not.
So the punishment should fit the crime.
Well, obviously, yeah, the punishment should fit the crime. But I got off topic because initially I was just trying to get your opinion on people who continuously go. Well, not really off topic because sometimes people just keep going back to jail because by the time they get out, they don't have a way to make a living because of their record. So they do the same thing they did to get put back in jail. And it's just that vicious cycle. Like I see that cycle. But my concern more so is, when you see, okay, your dad, you know what I mean? Your dad was in and out of jail their whole lives. Or your dad was, abusing drugs off and on throughout your whole life, whatever the case may be. At what point do you decide I don't want to be that way and you do something different, or you look for ways to do something different, or you look for people to help you to do something different? That's what I'm getting at. Like how long can you blame somebody else for your circumstance?
Realistically, forever. But I understand what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
because I know
you
people who are adults.
use that as an
people
excuse.
who are adults. Yeah, your dad didn't hug me.
Yeah,
hug yourself today. Okay, right. Come on now. You're 40.
Right.
Let's get on.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I know a few people like that. So I don't know how do they?
Perfect example. I have people in my life who, younger generations who, poor decisions, which we've already admitted, all of us have done that. There's no one that I know who can say they didn't wish they could do something over again or, make a different decision or whatever. But I've heard them say, oh, well, my mom wasn't in my life or my dad wasn't in my life. And I've had to say, you know what, stop. I get that. And you may be right. Maybe your parents sucked. However, millions of children have sucky parents, but they still made a conscious decision to do better, to not end up like that. Like, I get it. Everyone has someone in their life who may have affected their behavior some way. But at what point do you choose for yourself to have something different?
I guess my only answer goes back to our other episode, therapy.
Yeah, therapy is a big one.
Yeah, because you're right. You're absolutely right. You're only hurting yourself.
Right.
You cannot continue all of your life to make these poor choices because somebody didn't hug you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they should have hugged you. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody should
yeah.
have been hugged.
No one's discounting the fact
Right,
that you had sucky
right.
people in your life.
But can't, like I tell my daughter, you can't unring that bell.
Right,
Let's move forward. How can you make your life better now?
right,
Because you're hurting yourself.
right.
That person who hurt you may not even be thinking about you anymore.
Not even a second.
Yeah, but you're still being
Holding
weighed
on to that.
down.
Yep.
Yes. So rise above that. Prove them wrong. Prove to them that you didn't need them.
Right.
First of all, don't even think about it.
Right.
But
don't
still,
give them the energy if
right,
if you can help them.
Figure out how to do better for you because it is possible,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what did happen, what did or did not happen.
Yeah.
You still have it within your power
Mm-hmm.
to have a better life.
Now, when we talk about therapy, it's understood that not everyone has access to therapy. So, not everybody has insurance and can go to a therapist. But my thought process there is community outreach. You have to sometimes look in your community and see what's offered for free. I don't want it to make it seem like I'm like, oh, well, it's super easy. Just go do this. I understand that it's a challenge for some people. Sometimes it's monetary, and sometimes, like you said, it's that mental block. It's what they've seen their whole lives. They don't know how to be different. They don't know how not to live, in poverty. They don't know how not to get involved in alcohol, drugs, stealing, whatever the case may be.
Whatever.
Gangs, that's another thing. That's sometimes learned behavior. Like that's all you've known your whole life, or you lived in a community that's all there was. So the only way for you to survive every day is to just join or get involved. Listen to me talking like I know from experience. I do not, but I watch all the TV.
Oh gosh, you know what? I saw The Shy.
Right.
But that does bring you back to a point with what you said about therapy. I use the term therapy, but I mean community resources.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing too. It's like I don't know what I don't know. And my world is my world. So
Right.
I don't want to discount anybody by, like you said, I'm not saying just go, to your job's EAP.
Right,
and get therapy.
right.
No, because I know Community Services Board exists.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm thinking that everybody knows what I know.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there are free resources out there. But also, if you have a trusted pastor,
Mm-hmm.
Or priest, I don't know what the.
And if you don't have one, jump in a building where they're praising the Lord and see who you can talk to.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a member or go every Sunday or every Wednesday, depending on who, what building you're walking into. But yeah, there are options.
Yeah, there are. I mean, if you could find a good mentor, coach, like life coaches or school coaches, teachers, because that's one of the things we talked about today. It's like there are resources out there for someone you can trust to talk to. It's just you try to open up your mind, and maybe you can't think of who to speak to or who can help you, but if you go to this one trusted person, right, they may have a list of resources, right? And I don't know if people probably listening to us from all over the world, but
I'm saying though, because
yes. But I know here in Virginia there's 211, and that's a resource hotline for any type of resource, whether you're needing clothing, food, pay for your electric bill. They help put you in touch with places. And then there's, I can't believe I forgot it because I made the kids memorize it. There's a new suicide hotline number. Is it 988? I think it's 988. But there are some resources out there. Pick up the phone, call someone, call these numbers and find out where there's help. Because there's a lot of people out there who want to help.
Yeah, definitely.
Like me, I'm trying to help. I'm still working on my book.
Changing the world.
I am. I'm trying to, because I know there's a lot of people out there who don't know where to turn.
Right.
And I've come through some things. Like you said, my mother was a teenage parent. I was a teenage parent. I had some was a hard knock life. I've had some bumps and bruises along the way. And because I didn't know. And I didn't know that there were these resources available. So I'm working on putting the information out there.
Right.
So definitely.
Well, it's greatly appreciated. I appreciate you.
Oh.
For sure.
Oh. I mean, I just really feel like these kids have it so hard, and they may not even realize they're in this vicious cycle.
And one of our later episodes are going to talk about the difference between kids then, like when we were coming up, and the kids now, and you will all be graced with both of our children to kind of counteract our opinions and excuse me, the understanding we have of kids today. But this generation, I would not want to be a kid in this generation, not even a little tiny bit.
Nope, not hardly.
Not even a tiny bit.
It's hard out there.
Yeah. So I'll just say this, and this is strictly my opinion. This is not me trying to force my opinion on anyone, but I totally get that some things are learned behavior, other things are generational. But I would just like to see people take responsibility for their own actions and maybe not blame your parents for everything or your community or, you know, I understand that it's harder for some people to get out of the situations that they're in, out of the environment that they're in. You know, I get it. I'm not saying that you should just be able to snap and just do better.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
It'd be nice,
but I am saying take responsibility for starting to walk in that direction. Even if it doesn't happen overnight, take responsibility for making good choices. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good. I appreciate the conversation we had because, like I said, I'm starting like way back, however many hundreds of years ago, but I guess it kind of doesn't really matter where it started. But the ultimate thing is, like you said, to take responsibility, to open your eyes and see that, yes, this thing in my past, it sucked. However, I deserve a better life. Absolutely. I deserve to not be in prison.
And that's such an important word, deserve.
Yes, you deserve yes, better. You deserve happiness. Yeah. Stop letting someone else's ignorance,
right,
dictate the rest of your life. Like I said, your past does not have to be an indication of your future. So everybody deserves happiness, a good life, freedom.
Absolutely.
So, I know we're not licensed therapists here, but I really want people to go out and seek out some resources,
right,
to live the life that you deserve to have.
Absolutely. And I'll also, on the other side of that coin, I will say, if you continue to make choices that put you in bad places or bad predicaments, then I have to believe that at some point that's the life you want to live because you're not doing anything to change it.
I concur.
You know what is though, like really, really good?
What's really, really good?
Our podcast.
Oh, yes, it is. Woohoo! What's that? What was that you said you can't hear? I heard that. Or what was that you said?
I know that's right. Oh, I can't stand it. All right, y'all. Have a blessed day.
Yes, do that.
What's up, party people? This is the point in time where we need you to like, share, follow, and subscribe.